My friends, brothers and sisters, fellow humans, from every corner of this earth, listen. Our home is rich beyond imagination. The soil beneath our feet holds the very building blocks of a better world, yet so many of our people are trapped in the chains of poverty. For centuries, powerful forces came not with friendship, but with contracts we couldn't read and promises they never kept. They took our gold, our diamonds, our oil, our very humanity, and in return, they left us with hunger, with misery, with humiliation. But today, I stand here with one truth: we are not free. Not yet. Our flags may fly, our anthems may play, but if our destiny is still controlled by capitals thousands of miles away, then we are not independent. We are prisoners inside invisible chains. This is not just Africa's story. It is the story of every person, every community, every nation that has ever been told their dreams were too big, their voice too small. It's a story of resources stolen, of labor exploited, of potential left to rot. True freedom is not a gift, it's a right we must claim. It's the right to feed our own families, to build our own communities, and to decide our own future. This fight for dignity and justice is a human fight. It is our fight, together. So let us rise not just with our voices, but with our actions. Let us break the chains, the visible and the invisible, and build a future where our destiny is our own. Africa must break free from neocolonialism. Colonialism never ended. It only changed its clothes. They gave it new names: cooperation, development aid, strategic partnership. But behind those pretty words hides the same theft that began centuries ago. Look at West Africa today. Our brothers and sisters sweat in the gold mines, risking their lives every single day. But where does that gold go? It is shipped overseas. Our land bleeds diamonds, yet our people live in poverty. We grow cocoa in Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, but the chocolate factories are in Europe. We pump oil from Nigeria, Angola, and Gabon, but we buy back the fuel at prices higher than our people can afford. Tell me, is this independence, or is this slavery with a new mask? And then there is the CFA franc, a colonial currency, still chaining 14 African nations to the French treasury. Imagine the humiliation: a child is born in Africa, but his economic future is decided in Paris. They call this stability. I call it bondage. A nation that cannot control its own money is not free. And yet our so-called leaders smile and defend this system, while our youth drown in the Mediterranean searching for a better life. How can a continent with uranium, oil, gas, gold, and fertile soil be the poorest continent on Earth? How can a land with every resource necessary to build modern civilization still beg for aid? How can Africa feed the world, but fail to feed its own children? It is because others still own us. They own our resources, they own our currency, they own our policies, and worst of all, they own the minds of those who rule us. Neocolonialism is a clever slavery. They no longer need chains or whips, they use contracts, debts, and treaties. They train our leaders to act as gatekeepers, not guardians. They install military bases not to protect us, but to protect their interests. They speak of democracy, but they decide who governs and who does not. Let me tell you the truth: Africa is not poor. Africa is rich, but Africans are made poor. The real poverty of Africa is not in its soil, it is in its stolen sovereignty. We are not the children of beggars, we are the descendants of kings, warriors, and builders of empires. But if we do not break these chains, we will remain servants on our own land. The time has come to say enough. Enough of being the backyard of Europe. Enough of being the testing ground for their policies. Enough of being told that without them, we cannot survive. Africa must stand up, not tomorrow, not in the future, but now. If we control our land, if we control our money, if we control our destiny, then we will feed our people, we will educate our children, we will build our own industries. But as long as we remain under the shadow of neocolonialism, our people will suffer. So I say to you, Africa must break free. Not politely, not slowly, but decisively. Because freedom is never given, it is taken. And we, the children of Africa, must take it back. Unity is the only path to true independence. Brothers and sisters of Africa, let me ask you, how many times will we fall into the same trap? How many times will we fight against each other, while the enemy sits quietly and enjoys the fruits of our disunity? The colonizers did not conquer us because they were stronger, they conquered us because they divided us. They made us believe we were tribes, not nations. They told us that we were Fulani, Mande, Ashanti, Zulu, Yoruba, Hausa, Shona, but not Africans. And so, while we fought each other, they took our lands, they took our wealth, they took our freedom. Today, the same game continues. They draw invisible borders and make us defend them like fools. Borders that were not drawn by our ancestors, but by foreign rulers sitting in Berlin in 1884. They gave us flags and told us to be proud, while laughing at us from across the seas. Why do we protect borders that divide us, when unity is the only shield that can protect us? Burkina Faso alone cannot defeat imperialism. Mali alone cannot. Niger alone cannot. Congo, Ghana, Senegal, Kenya, Ethiopia alone, we are weak. But united, Africa is unstoppable. Look at Europe. Nations that fought bloody wars for centuries, today they are united in a union, with one market, one currency, one vision. Look at Asia, they build strong alliances, they trade among themselves, they rise together. And yet Africa, the richest land on earth, is told to remain divided, poor, and dependent. We must learn the lesson: independence without unity is an illusion. What good is sovereignty if your neighbor is enslaved? What good is progress in one nation, if the rest of the continent remains under chains? The lion does not hunt alone, it moves with the pride. That is how it survives, that is how it rules. When Thomas Sankara called for African unity, they killed him. When Muammar Gaddafi pushed for one African currency backed by gold, they destroyed him. Do you not see the pattern? Every African leader who dreams of unity becomes a target. Why? Because our strength lies in unity, and they fear that strength more than anything else. Let me tell you this truth: a united Africa would need no foreign aid. A united Africa would feed its children with its own soil, build its cities with its own resources, defend its people with its own armies. A united Africa would speak with one voice, and the world would finally listen. But if we remain divided, we will remain slaves. Slaves to their currency, slaves to their corporations, slaves to their armies. Disunity is our greatest enemy, not poverty, not even colonialism. Because without unity, we cannot fight them. So I call upon the youth, the students, the workers, the farmers, the soldiers of Africa: do not let their borders divide your hearts. Do not let their propaganda poison your spirit. Whether you are in Dakar, in Lagos, in Kinshasa, in Addis Ababa, you are African first. The day we rise together, the day we stop saying my nation and start saying our Africa, that is the day imperialism dies. That is the day our ancestors will finally rest. That is the day our children will inherit not a broken continent, but a powerful motherland. Unity is not a dream. Unity is our survival. Unity is our only path to true independence. And Africa will unite because the fire of freedom can no longer be extinguished. Africa must seize control of its own resources. My African brothers and sisters, let us open our eyes to the truth they do not want us to see. Africa is not poor. Africa has never been poor. We are the richest continent on earth, but our people live in poverty. Why? Because our resources are stolen in daylight, and we are told to be grateful for scraps. Gold from our soil decorates the necks of kings and queens in Europe. Diamonds from our rivers shine in shops in New York and Paris. Cocoa from our farmers feeds the sweet tooth of the world, but our children go hungry. Oil flows from beneath our feet, yet we queue for fuel. Tell me, is this justice? Is this freedom? They have built a system where Africa works, and others enjoy. We sweat, they profit. We dig, they wear. We grow, they eat. This is not trade, this is theft wearing the mask of business. And they have convinced us that we cannot manage our own resources. That we need their companies, their experts, their banks, their investors. But I ask you, who taught them to dig? Who taught them to plant? Who taught them to build? Did they not learn from us, from our ancestors, from the same soil they now exploit? No, my people. We do not lack knowledge. We do not lack strength. What we lack is freedom to decide for ourselves. Look at our contracts with foreign corporations signed in secret, hidden from the people. They take 80%, sometimes 90% of the wealth, and leave us with crumbs. And then they call it partnership. That is not partnership. That is slavery with a new name. If Africa is to rise, we must break these chains. We must say, the gold of Africa belongs to Africa. The oil of Africa belongs to Africa. The diamonds, the uranium, the cobalt, the cocoa, the timber, they all belong to us, and us alone. We must no longer export raw materials while importing poverty. Why should our cocoa be shipped raw to Europe, only for us to buy back chocolate at 10 times the price? Why should our crude oil be refined abroad, only for us to buy it back at triple the cost? Why should our uranium power their cities, while our villages remain in darkness? This is not destiny. This is a choice. And we must choose differently. Some will say, but Captain, if we take control of our resources, they will punish us. They will sanction us. They will isolate us. Yes, they will try. But let me tell you, no nation has ever been free without sacrifice. When Thomas Sankara said Burkina Faso must feed itself, they killed him. When Patrice Lumumba said Congo's minerals belong to Congo, they assassinated him. When Gaddafi spoke of an African gold-backed currency, they bombed him. Do you not see? They fear an Africa that controls its own wealth more than anything else. Because the day Africa rises to control its resources, the balance of power in the world will change forever. Imagine this: Africa refining its own oil, manufacturing its own goods, feeding its own people, selling to the world on its own terms. Imagine an Africa with its own banks, its own industries, its own technology, not begging, not depending, not bowing. That Africa is not a dream. It is within our reach. But it requires courage. Courage to say no to exploitation. Courage to reject corrupt leaders who sell our nations for personal gain. Courage to unite and build industries that serve our people, not foreign masters. My brothers, my sisters, the soil beneath your feet is sacred. It carries the blood of your ancestors, the hope of your children, and the wealth of your future. Do not let it be stolen again. The message is clear: Africa must seize control of its own resources, or remain a colony forever. And I tell you, as long as there is breath in my lungs, I will fight for the day when Africa eats from its own harvest, shines with its own gold, and rules with its own power. That day is coming. And they cannot stop it. Sacrifice is necessary for liberation, expanded. Brothers and sisters of Africa, let us face a hard truth: freedom is never handed to the oppressed on a silver platter. Freedom is never a gift from the oppressor, it is taken, seized, demanded, and defended. And those who dare to take it must be prepared to pay the price. History teaches us this lesson again and again. When the colonizers came with cannons and rifles, our ancestors stood with nothing but spears, arrows, and bare hands. They knew the price of resistance was death, yet they chose to resist. From the forests of Angola to the mountains of Ethiopia, from the deserts of the Sahel to the coasts of West Africa, countless men and women laid down their lives so that their children might one day breathe the air of freedom. Let us never forget their sacrifice. Freedom was not free then, and it is not free now. Today, the battle has changed its weapons. It is no longer only guns and chains. It is economic warfare, sanctions, debt, and exploitation. It is psychological warfare, propaganda, lies, and division. It is political warfare, coups, corruption, and foreign puppets. But the demand remains the same: sacrifice. Do not deceive yourselves, my brothers and sisters, liberation will not be easy. The road ahead will not be paved with roses, but with thorns. They will label us rebels, extremists, radicals. They will block our trade, sanction our governments, starve our people. They will try to silence our voices, to break our movements, to assassinate our leaders. But let them come. Because better it is to die on our feet, than to live forever on our knees. Our youth must be ready. Not ready for comfort, but ready for struggle. Our students must be ready to study not only books, but also the history of resistance. Our farmers must be ready to feed the revolution, not just the markets of Europe. Our workers must be ready to strike, to protest, to build a new Africa with their hands. Our soldiers must be ready to defend not the thrones of dictators, but the dignity of their people. Yes, the path of freedom is paved with sweat, with tears, and yes, with blood. But let us remember, sacrifice is not death, sacrifice is immortality. For they can kill a man, but they cannot kill an idea. They can burn a book, but they cannot burn a vision. They can assassinate a leader, but they cannot assassinate a dream. And the dream of a free, united Africa is stronger than their bullets, stronger than their sanctions, stronger than their armies. Do you not see it? Every martyr who falls becomes a seed. And from that seed grows a tree of resistance. They killed Patrice Lumumba, but his spirit lives in every African who demands dignity. They killed Thomas Sankara, but his vision breathes in every African who dares to dream of justice. They killed Steve Biko, but his courage runs in the veins of every African youth who refuses to bow. Sacrifice is the price of freedom. But it is also the guarantee of victory. Because the oppressor fears not our weapons, but our willingness to sacrifice. When the oppressed are ready to die for freedom, no empire, no army, no tyranny can stop them. So let us prepare ourselves, brothers and sisters. Not for comfort, but for struggle. Not for luxury, but for liberty. Not for slavery, but for sacrifice. For the day Africa's sons and daughters embrace sacrifice is the day Africa becomes truly free. So I ask you, my African brothers and sisters, how long will we remain slaves in our own house? How long will we beg for crumbs while others feast on our wealth? How long will we kneel before those who laugh at our suffering? The time has come to stand up. The time has come to break the chains of neocolonialism. The time has come to unite as one Africa. History is watching us. Our children are watching us. And one day, they will ask, did we surrender, or did we fight? Did we kneel, or did we rise? Let us rise. Let us fight. Let us claim what is ours. Africa must be free. Africa must be united. Africa must rise.